Hello, and welcome back to Dr. Freda's Power Session, where we stop performing growth and start living it. I'm Dr. Freda, and this is a space for real conversations about self trust, emotional intelligence, and what it actually takes to lead yourself through life and love. Here, we don't rush healing. We don't sugarcoat truth, and we don't confuse awareness with transformation. Power isn't about having it all together. It's about being honest enough to show up differently with yourself first. Now, every session is an invitation to pause, reflect, and choose alignment over autopilot. Now, let's get into today's power session. Welcome back to Dr. Freda's Power Session. I'm Dr. Freda, educator, empowerment coach, and truth teller. And today's conversation is for the grown people. Because the first time we start to date, we often love with chemistry, with fantasy, with unhealed wounds,
Mhm.
with hope. But the second time, if we done the work, we love with clarity. And we love from a different set of eyes and experiences. And today with me, I have the honor to having David Anderson to talk more about relationships, especially the second marriage
Mhm.
or maybe the first marriage. David Anderson is coming with a wealth of knowledge. He's a pastor, an author, podcaster, and a wedding minister. He leads weddingchaplain.com and has worked with over 1,800 couples, preparing them for their weddings and marriages. And he also worked with married couples, some who were former clients. He also enjoys discussing the transitioning process from dating to engagement to marriage. Without further ado, I would like to welcome David to the Power Session. How are you, David?
I'm doing very well, very well. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Yes, I am so excited to have you on today's Power Session. Like I said, I want to hear a different perspective from, especially from a male's perspective, who worked with over 1,800 couples, not just from the marriage perspective, but almost getting them prepared to getting engaged in post marriage. And what does that marriage look like? Because I think a lot of people fantasize the wedding and they do not take into consideration that there is a marriage after the wedding. So I'm excited for you to be here. And I just want to jump right into it. And I want to ask you the first question because with someone who's been married and they've been deeply committed or heartbroken before, they're not that same person entering their next relationship. So, from your perspective, what do you believe about love the first time that you encourage singles or even people that's dating to look for when they are entering into their next serious relationship?
Well, just to start off, I mean, yeah, I have a passion for marriage ministry. I have a passion for working with couples. I really do enjoy the second marriage story. I am remarried, and so a lot of that comes from my own personal experience. I would say some of the first things are kind of boring. It has to do with your age. It has to do with simple, like there's really two magic numbers. One is how long have you been together? So if you are together for more than 2 years, that's usually the secret time frame. If somebody shows up and they want to get married and they're like, hey, we've been dating for 6 months and we just want to jump in, like, I don't want, no. The other one is I like you to be as close to, if not past, the age of 24 as possible. And a lot of that has to do very specifically with the culture that we are in now. This was not always present. I would say marriages, baby boomers, people got married in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. The common story was, we graduated from high school and then we got married, and if we didn't get married then, it was because, dude went to the service, went to fight in Korea or something along those lines. But as soon as they got back, which the baby boom comes from that, but we're not living in that culture anymore. At least I hope not. I'm watching the news very carefully. But the way the culture is sort of set up now is it used to be I knew what I was doing when I was 18. Your senior year of high school was, what are you going to do? What are you going to be? And the numbers of people who come out of high school with that kind of clarity is very low. Okay, I don't know. Well, what are you gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna go to college, and what's gonna happen at college is I'm gonna find out who I am.
Mhm.
So, if I go to college and I don't know really what I wanna do, and you go to college and you don't really wanna know what you wanna do, and we find each other, that's great, that's cute, that's romantic. But all of a sudden now you're starting to turn like, well, I kind of want to do this, but like, well, you're cute. Where are you going to live? And what are you going to do? Well, I don't know. I'm going to kind of see what you're going to do. And then it's like, well, whatever it takes, as long as we're together, then we'll figure that out. And then they get together. And then you're like, all right, well, this isn't really what I wanted to do. Kind of thought I wanted to be with you, but you're going in a whole different direction. And the reality is we go through so much change. We go through so much change between the ages of 18 and 24, really
Mhm.
16 to 24. It's almost as drastic as birth to 5 years old. 16 to 18, 18 to 20, 20 to 22, 20 to 20, 22 to 24, you're 4 or 5 different people.
Mhm.
And so every once in a while, I will run into the couple like, "Hey, we started dating in 8th grade biology, and we're still together." And I'm like, "Okay, but did you guys know what you were gonna do?" Like, "Yeah, I already knew. I was gonna work for my dad, I was gonna take over the farm, or we already knew we were gonna do this." Like, "Okay, then that kind of works." But if it's just, we met when we were 17, 18, 19, and get married, somebody is not clear on who they are and what they want to do. And so the hard truth is if you take our divorce rate, the popular number is 50%,
Mhm.
and we get that number based on, it's the number of divorce decrees and the number of marriage certificates in a given year. That comes out to just about 50%. That's been pretty consistent for decades. But if you take out ages 16, and there are weird places you can still get, certain states you can still get married when you're 16. Okay. If you took out 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, if you
Mhm.
took those numbers out of the divorce statistics, we have a very strong marriage rate. Very strong.
Mm.
What makes it look bad is, oh, yeah, everybody's getting divorced. No, they're not. It's those who get married in that certain window. And so, and I hate to be my own statistic, but that's when I got married when I was 19
Mhm.
and she was 18. And, I don't want to say it was doomed from the start. It was doomed from the start. There's just a lot of things that led to just weird places in life. We just weren't sure. We weren't secure. We were looking for the next opportunity, the next, what's the good thing that's going to happen to us? Not that we're going to create. We're just waiting for
Mhm.
something to happen. We have 5 beautiful children, and
Mhm.
that's an incredible blessing. But that also perhaps delayed. You know,
Mhm.
we don't have to look at each other, and we have to look at ourselves or our
Mhm.
situation in life. We got diapers to change. So when you have that many kids, that ate up, that ate up 11 years just out of nothing. Just, "Hey, there's just that amount of time. We don't get really time to talk about what's my purpose in life." I'm like, "No, there's no purpose. Go to Walmart and get the stuff you need to get." And, I need something to stay awake during the day because the kids are keeping you there. So we were married for 17 years, and after a while, you just sort of realize, "Hey, we're in 2 different places," and so I'm a minister, not to speak ill, she just wasn't there. She just didn't wanna do that anymore, and
Mhm.
I was like, "Okay, well,
Mhm.
it's hard." All of my stuff is minister stuff, all of my education, all of my student loans, all of my jobs, I just wasn't gonna switch that, and so it really came to sort of like, "Hey, I don't wanna be in this world anymore." Did you
Mhm.
wanna be in that world in the beginning? That's debatable. Did a lot of things change in that process? You can adjudicate all that you want, but if we had taken more time, if we had waited
Mhm.
till we were like 23, 24, 25, by the time I was 25, we had 3 kids. Oh, it just wasn't a whole lot of reflection time.
How long did you all date? I'm sorry, how long did you all date
We
prior to getting
dated
married?
we dated for about a year, and
Mm.
so I think that led into it. We dated in college. This is the other warning I tell people, college is not real. It is not real,
No.
okay? I'm gonna meet you on the quad, and we're just gonna walk around and go eat at the cafeteria. You don't have to cook, and I don't have to cook. We're just gonna go eat there.
Yes.
Crazy, go to the cafe, and I go, "Okay," but that's not real life. That is not real life, and so anybody can fall in love on a college campus and sustain that because there are no
Mhm.
kids, there's no parents, there's no holidays, there's no religious anything, you know?
Mhm.
Your schedule's given to you, there is no decision on that, and all around you are the smart people who are all your age, and
Mhm.
that don't help either because 'cause they're all doing the same thing. So, I also had it's a you know, I went to a religious school, a Christian college, and there was a lot of that ethos that was there.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
if you want
Mhm.
the good parts of marriage, you're gonna have to get married. There's no waiting, if God's put you 2 together, then that's all the premarital counseling you need. And I do remember that as we were getting ready to get married, the minister who did our wedding, did our premarital, his premarital counseling was literally, "Do you love her? Yes. Do you love him? Yes." And this was asked to a 19 and 18-year-old. "Yeah, hey, you guys are good. Moving on, let's go."
What?
So you know, and I know that reflects a lot on how I'm wired, how I really, you know, I jam on people a lot. Like, no, 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 no. We got a couple more questions that we're gonna do for that.
Yeah.
But you didn't know, and everybody else was sort of doing it. And so there's a research project in the back of my head somewhere and it's probably just more personal journey than anything else. Just the divorce rate if you went to a religious school. Like, what's the divorce rate for we got married at, 18, 19, 20. We got married the moment we graduated even at 21, 22. I'm just curious,
Mhm.
And there's plenty of good stories that come out of that. There's plenty of folks that, hey, we graduated, we became missionaries, we became pastors, we became, teachers, whatever it was. And so it's not doomed, but the statistics are just super high. And part of it, you just don't know. You just don't know who you are.
Mhm.
The other part is if you come from broken backgrounds and you don't recognize what you're coming from. And, it takes you a while to realize. So certainly what added to things on my side, my parents divorced when I was a senior in high school.
Mm.
So that happens. Uh, College, my freshman year, I met my first wife my second year in college. Well, there was no breathing
Mhm.
space there for me to
Mhm.
recognize, hey, what did you just come out of?
Mhm.
So that was probably a unique situation. But anybody, if you come out of a divorce background, you just have to recognize you're going to spend a lot of your time smuggling your pain into this married relationship hoping that it fixes it.
Mhm.
I use that word smuggling. You're smuggling it.
Mhm.
Okay. You're not upfront with it. You basically,
Mhm.
hey, I'm fine. You're fine. No, you're not. You got something in that bag and you're going to try to sneak that into the house. And which I
Mhm.
did. Um, we just sort of give that to our person and say, hey, listen, I'm broken. I need you to fix this.
Mm.
And at the same time, they're doing the same thing. And so she
Mm.
had, there was divorce on her side as well. A lot of complex stories that were there, but all it is like, hey, this is going to fix it. What we really want, we all want on a certain level, we want the same thing.
Mhm.
It's how fast it's the microwave, how fast you can make that happen. I want a stable home, I want stable finances, and I want a stable relationship.
Mhm.
None of that is instant. None of that's
Mhm.
instant. Hey, I like you. We both like the same rock ballads from the '90s, so that makes us,
Mhm.
well, what could stop us now? No, you have to have more than that, and that's where if you get past the age of 24, 25, where are you working? That's you know how to
Mhm.
answer that. Where y'all gonna live? I know how to answer that question. All of that stuff is sort of there, and you just don't have it, you know? And even if you and it's really not even an economic thing, some of it is economics. Like, you go to college and you're hoping, "Hey, when I graduate, I'm gonna get hired, I'm gonna do something cool." The other part is, even if you come from a well-to-do background, you
Mhm.
just don't have the emotional rocket fuel to get it off the launch pad. So you're just not ready. You're just not ready. And it confuses us because it didn't used to be like that. And the model, yeah, if you got married in the mid 20th century, you were fine. Those folks are
Yeah.
fine. I pastor a church. I hear the story, like, we met in high school, got married. We've been married for 56 years. We got
Yes.
5 kids and 20 grandkids, and it's awesome. And we've lived in the same town and we've worked at the same place, and all those things that make the current culture go, no, 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 I don't want to do any of that. So I'm huge on that. Like, hey, it's 2 years. You got to be close to 24, and if
Mhm.
you're not, just tell me a little bit more about who you are,
Mhm.
what's going on. But yeah, I think that's where some of that comes from.
Yeah, I concur with thank you for sharing your story first and foremost. I think we have some similarities. My parents divorced actually when I was 2. My sister was 9.
Mhm.
And so I grew up with the mentality that okay, I see my dad on the weekends and holidays and school functions. And my dad is, one of my best friends. And my dad was like the fun parent, and my mom
Mhm.
was the stern parent. And so, I look forward to the weekends because I needed a breather. But I never, to that point, I never even invested in knowing more about relationships,
Mhm.
not with myself, not with the opposite sex or anything. So when I went to college, I come from a very conservative religious background, being from Birmingham, Alabama. Grew up
Mhm.
Pentecostal all my life. So I knew marriage is head of every family. You want to be married.
Mhm.
But it was just never on my compass. It was never my goal was to be a successful woman. I
Mhm.
wanted a great job, and that was my goal. Family, kids, that was never in my mind, it was never in the cards for me. I never focused on that. So when I went to college, you hearing, especially from the South, you go to college and find your husband and
Mhm.
get your degree and keep it moving. I went to college and I found friends for life. And, I dated blindly. I didn't know anything about red flags, green flags. I was just in my own world, to be honest. So I concur with
Mhm.
you. Anything before 24, you're still trying to figure out life, trying to figure out yourself, let
Right.
alone life. And fast forward, I moved to Chicago, which my parents, especially my mom was just like, don't go to the north, stay
Right.
south.
She has some truth to that. I'm in Ohio, and it's freezing. It's still
Oh
freezing.
yeah.
It's been freezing for 5 months.
Yes.
So your mom's smart, very wise.
I'm glad I no longer live in Chicago now, but I did go to Chicago, stayed there 13 years, and I tell my clients, when you find someone in your loneliness, you find a person in their emptiness. And I say that because my first husband, I met him at a house party after I had just gotten over a really bad breakup from a person who I thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with. And right after that, my paternal grandmother transitioned, and I just needed an emotional release because mind you, now I am at this point 27, 28. Mind you, I still haven't done the work on myself to even grieve the loss of that last relationship, to grieve my grandmother's transition. So I am just looking for the next like release. I just don't want to focus on being sad anymore. In comes my ex-husband, who I always say is a great person. He just wasn't great for me. He was great on paper. He was the VP of finance. He was 7 years older than me. He had his own condo. Like it was together. I just started my first corporate job, so I was getting it together, and my dad was just, like, telling me all these signs. It was like, he always said, "Just pray about it." My mom was just, "Pray about it," but they nudge me like, "We don't like him," but they saying, "Pray about it,"
Right.
and I'm like, "No." Again, I'm not doing the work on myself, and I'm thinking this this release, this good time will help me heal in some way.
Mhm.
I always tell my clients, don't marry the good time, okay? Because
No.
that good time is gonna continue after, like you said, you change, you grow, you evolve if you're doing the work on yourself. And we got married. He proposed to me, David, in 10 months. Remember you said that 6
Yep,
months?
yep.
Yes, he proposed in 10 we dated for 10 months. We were engaged for 10 months. And get this, we were married for 10 months.
Gosh, man. Well, at least you're consistent. That's pretty cool. And listen, you can sell that. So, you know what? There's a couple of things there. Obviously, the 2-year thing is important.
Oh,
The
yeah.
other thing is I I would not say I'm an arranged marriage guy. I would not say that. There are still some cultures that do it, and it's
Mhm.
always an amazing thing when I see it. I would do a lot of like Indian Hindu weddings, and I would get into that story, and I will hear this thing like and I always have to switch it because it all starts with, "Hey, we met at work, we met at a party, we met
Mhm.
online." And we both like the same things, and he's cute and she's cute, and there's energy and all this, and then I'll switch to this other cultural model, and it's like, well, our parents, and they start that like that's the dating story.
Mhm.
We don't start that is not the first
Yes.
sentence out of our mouth when we
No.
tell our dating stories in this country. Well, our parent, no. No,
Yeah.
unless there's it's a rural community and we all
Yeah.
knew each other and we all went to kindergarten together and all that. It's usually, well, I found him or I found
Mhm.
her. We found each other. We were in college. We met at a party. We were in the same classes or whatever. And there's you sort of have gone. You've put it through your filter. Like this is my filter,
Exactly.
and then other people start like, man, really? Okay. And then you get weird. Like, hold on, because if you don't like him or if you don't like her or if what is it? Why would you say it about that's offensive? Like, don't you think I'm smart? Don't you think
Mhm.
I know what I'm doing? And a lot of times your parents, even in their broken state, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
they want to make sure like, hey, 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 hey. And I've seen it. I've seen it repeat itself, and I am not afraid to tell my kids, like, "Hey, whoa, 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 listen, I've seen this story. I have seen this story. You don't want this story, okay?"
Mhm.
And we're all sort of tuned to this weird thought. Well, I'm not gonna do it the way my parents did it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna do it the way my parents did it. And I always push on this. I always push on this because 'cause I'll say very clearly, "Hey, how did your parents do it?"
Mm.
"Well, I don't know." But I'm not gonna do it the way they did it. Okay, well, you can get very clear on what they did, Okay. What was it that they did? Was it financial? Was it too young? Was it, was it a rebound? Were you right place, right time? Were you like, I was dating this one, but I kind of liked you more. And it was just a crazy all night conversation, which is cool. And I can't, and I don't want to front on anybody's story, but
Mhm.
what was it? What was it that you did? What was it your parents did? Because I'll ask people all the time, and my parents argued all the time. What would they argue about? I don't know. Money, okay?
Mhm.
And I just knew that they argued all the time. And there's only a few things that you're gonna argue about. And so it's either infidelity or money, time, we're too busy or whatever. But you need to get very, very, very clear
Mhm.
on what did your parents do? And because you're going to naturally go down that
Mhm.
road. You're naturally gonna follow that. And it's not to say what your parents did was bad, just be very objective. If
Exactly.
all your divorce story is, and this goes for your story, this goes for your parents' story. If all your if all the divorce story is an adjudication of who was wrong, you're in trouble,
Yes.
okay? And there could be somebody who was wrong. Hey,
Mhm.
my dad was unfaithful, cheated, that whole thing, okay?
Mhm.
That can be true. And if everything else in that relationship is perfect, then
Mhm.
you're fine, okay? That's never the case. What was the other things? Okay, how did they handle finances? Usually affairs they're not just physical. It's I
Mhm.
need an escape hatch out of something. Okay.
Mhm.
Then it's not to, it's never the fault of the person who got cheated on, but hey, there's something here I need to escape from.
Exactly.
And, I'll see this a lot in ministry. Like, why would Pastor X, why are you doing this?
Mhm.
I needed to get out of something. I need to escape from something.
Mhm.
And it's bizarre because most of the time I'll hear whether they're in ministry or just whatever, like, would you have done that again? Oh, absolutely not.
Mm. Yeah.
If I knew what was gonna come from that, I would have never done that, okay? But at the time, I needed that. And so, it's either the affair or there's a substance abuse issue or I'm just going
Mhm.
to spend our account into oblivion
Mm.
or we're gonna buy up a bunch of stuff and get into debt and try to make it look like we are happy and fun and all, whatever it is. There's something wrong. I'm trying to fix something. I am trying to fix something
Mhm.
in the current, and I think these things work. The truth is, that's probably what your parents did. That's
Mhm.
probably what your parents did, okay? We rushed to get the house. We rushed to get the car. Rushed to get whatever. We did this. We overreached, we lived beyond our means or whatever. And so then like, okay, well, maybe it's just a financial issue. Don't repeat those. But get very clear. What did they do? What is it that they
Mhm.
did? And then, you I believe in I'm not super like I'm not running around looking for angels and devils everywhere, but generational sins for real. Like
Yeah.
your family's got some very unique things that
Mhm.
just tend to keep showing up.
Mhm.
And this is the plate you get when you're born, and it's whether or not you're gonna eat from it. And so I pay attention to those things. Tell me about your family. Tell me about the place you grew up and all of that. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good stuff.
Yeah, no, and I really think, when I get people who come to me, and I'm quite sure you do as well, I have people, like I said, with my ex-husband, on paper, their resume is amazing.
Mhm,
You start to ask yourself, "Well, why are you single?" Right? Until you start doing the the deep dive, the work that no one wants to do. They just
mhm,
wanna get into that relationship, and to your point, they wanna buy the house, they wanna merge finances, they want to do the external things that looks like what a relationship's supposed to be about,
mhm,
without first doing the relationship with themselves first. And I always get people who come to me, and these are quote unquote successful people, right? As far as finances and things of that nature, but can't get it together in their personal relationships to save their lives. And
mhm.
I said, "You know why? Because you can't control other people." You know,
No,
you can go to work,
no.
you can build a business from the ground up, you can do that. That's you're influencing that. You don't influence another, you don't change another person. You can empower them, you can educate them,
Mhm.
but you don't change. Let's just be crystal clear.
Right.
And so we So they come to me and I tell them my story. I tell them, if you want whatever you want, you can get that. And it always by week 4, it always a aha moment, like, huh, I never thought about that with myself. Because I get a lot of people coming, they're doing this, they're pointing at their ex or their parents,
Mhm.
and that has a place. It can influence it, but at a certain point, you have to take that information, learn from it, and make it applicable to where you stand in yourself as a person, right? Because our parents had a human experience, they tried to figure it out. They can only give us what they can give us. And so once you start realizing the things that I need to work on, then you can start showing up and attracting the people or the person that you actually want to have into your life, and not keep dating the same person in a different suit. I get people that say, I just keep attracting married men. It's not them, it's you.
Listen, you took his phone number. Listen, you started texting him. Gosh, you know, what I tell people a lot of it's I call it the interview model. And
Mhm.
if you one of the things I always tell you when you go on an interview is if you're interviewing for a job and then they say, "Well, where do you see yourself in 5 years?" The answer you don't give them is, "Well, I don't know. It depends on if you hire me or not." That's the wrong answer. That is the wrong
Exactly.
answer. You are who you are
Mhm.
regardless of who hires you. Okay? And that's
Mhm.
what an employer wants to know. Like, "Hey, I've got
Mhm.
goals, I got dreams. I may be here, but I could be somewhere else, but I know where I'm going." And so an
Mhm.
interviewer wants to know, like, "Hey, it seems like here you want to start your own business. Why are you applying to drive the forklift in the building? Like, why do you want to do that?"
Mhm.
So I just want to align with
Mhm.
that. And that's a smart interview thing. If you are in that situation on a dating level, like, "Hey, who do you want to be in 5 years?" I don't know. It depends on if we work out or not. That's not the answer. That is not the answer. You need to know who you are.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times, and then that's where that age thing comes in. But
Mhm.
it's also some of it's about purpose. I mean, it is really like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you here? You are not here just to be married to me. You're not
No.
here for that. I'm
I'm not
not
here
here
to
for that.
complete you either. Like,
No,
you should already done
oh,
that
as
work.
cool as that quote is from the Tom Cruise movie, that's great. Okay. But no, he has a purpose that is
Mhm.
outside of himself. And girl's name is she has a purpose outside of herself, and you have to sort of say, "Hey, does your purpose line up with my purpose?" And that is and I hate it because that's the worst dating question you could ask. Like, "What's your purpose?" Like, I just, and it does make you sound like an employer, but at some point I am interviewing you,
Yes.
you know? I'm interviewing you. Do I want to work, and that's the big thing now, like, "Hey, you're interviewing me, but I'm interviewing you to make sure I wanna work at this company." Well, then you do that with dating. Like, what time do you like to wake up in the morning? What time do you like to go to bed? How late is it too late to have friends over during the week? How late
Mhm.
is it to have friends over on the weekend? What shows do you like to watch? Don't wait till you've been dating for 6 months to realize, "I don't like horror movies." Okay?
Get
"You
that.
like horror movies. I don't like horror movies." Like, okay, I wish
I
I
know.
would've asked that, you know?
What do people talk about on dates? I don't understand. I really don't understand.
No, no, because all this stuff sort of just comes out. But you say, "Hey, what is it that you want to do?" And we so badly want the relationship to work out, we mold it. We just sort of like,
Yeah.
"Well, you know, I kinda want you to figure out," and it's okay dating. It's not okay when you're married because all of a
No.
sudden, like, "Wait a minute, I didn't think I would do this, or I didn't think we would do this, or I didn't think this would be like this." All of it, and you're just sort of put in a situation, you're like, this isn't it." So, yeah,
Mhm.
figure out what your purpose is. And then so when you transition, I mean, when I talk to couples is you have to keep dating. Um, you have to figure out how you're gonna continue to date each other. When people get engaged, the culture's not helpful on this, all of a sudden it becomes this event.
Yes.
And, we enter into event planning mode. And that will test you. That'll help you figure out, hey, are
Mhm.
you, you think you're compatible enough, get engaged, and then start picking venues and dresses and all this jazz. That'll tell you real quick whether you're a match. Um, but couples really struggle. I mean, I talk about this thing called the cave,
Mhm.
and it's the seasons right after the wedding. Because
Mm.
all of a sudden everybody's talking to you. Everybody's talking to you for, 5, 6, 7 months, and obviously the month before the wedding, it gets real crazy, and then all of a sudden the wedding happens and everybody disappears. They all go away, even your best friends. Even the like, this is my crew. These are my boys, and I've had people tell me, like, "Okay, so when's the last time you talked to your friends? Your ride or die friends." "Well, I haven't talked to them
Mhm.
since the wedding." "When did you get married?" "I don't know, 6, 7 months ago." "Hold
Mm.
on. Hold on.
Mm.
You have not talked to your people for 6 months." And I get it. I understand because all of a sudden everything sort of decompresses,
Mhm.
people all of a sudden like, "Well, you're married, we can't talk to you." It's weird. It's a weird thing. We can't we
Mhm.
so your family is still in your business, but all of a sudden all your people disappear and then this gets very condensed. And now we're not talking about you. We're just not. We
Yeah.
did. We talked about you for a long time, and now you get married, and all right, you guys go have fun, but you're not the center of the conversation anymore. And so
Mhm.
now the next only thing that people are talking about is the baby. When you gonna have a baby? When's the baby
Oh,
coming? But if you already have kids, if it's a blended family, then you
yeah.
really go into a weird bubble. No one wants to talk to you. I don't want you got 3 kids already. You ain't got time for me. I ain't got to come over to your house. So, it's you gotta be like, "Hey," like, the excitement of it, excitement of, "Are you okay after the wedding?" And you gotta
Mhm.
prepare for that because it's weird. It's the worst after Christmas feeling.
Yes. Yes.
For me, it's like the Monday after the Super Bowl. Like, I wander around
I
my house.
know.
It's Monday night, it's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, "I should be doing something." I'm like, "No, go talk
Yes.
to your family." Like, "I know, but there should be a game on." After the wedding, couple like, "What are we doing? We don't know what to do now." And so
Yeah.
so that's where the dating discussion comes in. You gotta keep doing this stuff. The stuff that got you here is what needs to carry you through, but you gotta have the same purpose. You gotta have at least some sense of, "Hey, we're doing the same thing." Even if you're not in the same industry,
Yes.
but I like, my wife helps me with the church. I mean, she just I
Mhm.
could not do what I'm doing, or at least my church would suffer tremendously if my
Yeah.
wife was not involved. They would get ripped off because I don't there's a lot of conversations I don't have. I just like, "You're just gonna have to talk to her." I don't know, like, the dinner thing, and no, I just no, 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 whatever. It
Yeah.
just you just I show up to things and it's just there, and I know
Yeah.
magically that did not happen, that she's behind all that, okay? But we have the same purpose. We talk about that, so if it's just, "Hey, I" because what the culture's also gifted us with is I have a plan for my life. I have a
Mhm.
career, so I'm
Mhm.
working on my career. I'm working on my goals. I'm working and you fit into my goals. You
Yes.
fit into that. And where some of that if you let the community help you, if you let the village help you, if you let your parents help you, they can kind of maybe see some of that.
Mhm.
You know what? Johnny, you wanna own your own business? You wanna be an entrepreneur? You wanna be a doctor?
Mhm.
Susie, you wanna be a lawyer? I had one couple one time, and it was hilarious. It was one of the funniest things I'd ever experienced. I sit down, and "Hey, how did you guys meet? And what do you wanna be?" and all this. And so the lady, the girl, she was in counseling. And so she was working on her PhD, and so she was saying some things that I knew. I knew some of the authors, I knew some of the work that she was doing, and I was fascinated. I was just like, "Hey, all right, so you read this, and what's your thesis gonna be on?" and all this. She was going to a very prestigious school working on
Mhm.
this stuff. And I felt bad for a second because I realized I'd asked her a bunch of these questions. And I said, "Hey, man, "Hey, what are what are you doing?" And I kind of thought like, "Hey, she's doing PhD work," and but I was not prepared. He goes, "I'm a pig slaughterer." I'm like, "Wow." And and because I had asked her so many questions, he was so
Yes.
excited. He was so excited because now he's gonna tell me all about his stuff. "Oh,
Yes.
yeah, they're in this building, and there's a corral, and they get 2 by 2, and there's this thing that goes in their mouth, and they get dipped in this," and I'm
Wow.
just, like, pale. I'm like, "Lu like, I don't wanna hear any of this. I don't wanna know how the bacon's made. I don't wanna hear any of this." And then and part of me was just like, "How did you 2 find each other? Like, how did you find each other?" And we talked a lot about that because you guys are basically she's going to wake up, she's going to leave her house, and she's going to go into the city to her classroom, to her practice, to her office, to wherever she's
Mm.
doing her thing. He's going to wake up, he's going to put on his muck boots, get in his truck, and he's going to drive to this field. And like, what are what are you I didn't get it. It was so bizarre. And they're
Are they
still
still
together.
together?
They are,
Okay,
but
yeah.
it's like, there's no in my head, I was like, "There's
I
no
love
reference
that.
point here. There's
I
no
love
reference
that.
point here." This is like a Hallmark movie, fine, it's okay, you know? And like, "Okay, if you could figure out how to make that work," but somehow he's gotta ask her questions, somehow she's gotta ask him, well,
Yes.
how was the bacon today? How many pigs did you" like, I don't know. So, it's up like not to say you both have to be counselors or you both have to be
Yeah.
farmers, but I would certainly say farming families figure it out, you
Yeah.
know? I worry about people who are doctors, but they seem to figure it out. We're both doctors. We both
Mhm.
get it. We both understand that there's going to be 24-hour shifts
Mhm.
and but we both have a plan. We're both going to move from the hospital to private practice.
Yeah.
We're gonna go from the big city thing to, working in a small town and just being the family whatever your plan is. But you
Mhm.
guys can sort of talk that thing through to say, "Hey, this is our plan."
Yeah.
I had a couple one time where I was trying to help them figure this out, where, like, he was an entrepreneur, and he had made it very clear, "Hey, I'm gonna make a bazillion dollars, and I'm gonna retire when I'm 50." And he was dating a teacher, and she had gotten her teaching degree. She loved teaching,
Mhm.
and she said, "You know what? I don't see myself doing anything but teaching. I'm probably gonna teach till I'm 75."
Hmm.
I just heard in my head, like, "Wait a minute. He wants to retire at 50. You're gonna retire when you're 75. Yeah, I guess you could do this all in the summer, maybe."
Right.
But and at some point, well, I like him because he's gonna make a lot of money. That's cool, I guess. But at some point, somebody's life story is going to change,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
either going I wanna retire and, move to an island and do whatever. Like, no, I love my kids, and
Yeah.
I like working in the school, and nothing in the world's gonna take me away from that. Those 2 are they're going to butt up against each other at some point, and none of them is wrong, and that's the weird thing.
Yes.
Dude, you do you. You do you, and she needs to go do who she is.
Exactly.
Fine, completely fine. Do you both need to do this together? Ah, that's where the struggle is. None of them are wrong. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with there's nothing wrong with either of those, but your plan has to, on some level, merge? So if
Yeah.
I'm if I'm dating this girl who has no interest in church, grew up atheist, she believes in aliens. Like, at some point, I'm like, "You know what? I just don't see it. I'm just not feeling the thing."
It's interesting you say that because I actually went to college with a person. The girl was she come from a very religious background, and the guy was atheist.
Mhm.
And they started dating, and I didn't even know. Honestly, I didn't even know why he was at the school, to be honest. But
Right.
and they're still married to this day with 3 kids, and he converted.
Yes.
And so
That's a risk
like
that is a risky gamble.
that
That's a
that's
risky
but
gamble.
I think they dated all through college, but
Yeah.
just to see, like, they were in 2 different majors, so I was like, "When did you all cross paths?" The calf, I guess? I don't know, but to your point, I really think communication First, you gotta know who yourself, like, who are you,
Exactly.
right? Then you teach people how to treat you, how to show up for you, and not try to integrate. If you wanna integrate effectively, you gotta know what you want, what you like. If you don't
Exactly.
like football, don't try to be the cheerleader. Like, stop it. Just stop
Yeah.
it, and it can still work. My partner and I, we've been together for 6 years now because I've taken tools, everything that I've learned, everything that I experienced, everything I've gone through, I am able to teach others, starting with myself first. And
Amen. Very
so
good.
my first question on our date was, "Do you want kids?" Because I didn't want kids. And I don't want to. I've had relationships I dated men with kids, and I understand that your kid's gonna come first, period. And that's
Yep.
how it should be. Like, my
Yep.
dad remarried, and that's how my dad moved. And so that's how it's supposed to be. But to your point, I was I'm high in my career now and I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to do this. Well, if I don't have kids. And so my first question was, do you want kids? Do you have a passport? And when is your birthday? Because I need to know these things because I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want you to waste my time because I know what I'm looking for, what I deserve, and how I want that to show. Because I don't want to manifest what I left, 10 years ago. And I gave myself that time to heal, to breathe, and grow.
Mhm.
And so I encourage people to learn, date yourself. So
Exactly.
when that time comes, you'll be able to show up and be ready for that right relationship because you've done that work and you're continuing to do that work. Like you said, you're going to continue to date your partner, your husband, your wife,
Mhm.
but you're going to date yourself too.
Exactly.
Date yourself.
Exactly.
Matt and I, we have a rule at the table. We do not bring the telephone to the table. Like, there is no
Amen.
technology at the table because we have to communicate. He's gone. I'm gone. I'm doing my thing. And I need to know. I have to check in every day. How was your day? What made you smile today? What's something that you would do
Mhm.
different tomorrow that you
Mhm.
didn't do today? We have those type of communication with those questions, and then we have a date night every week. Either he plans it or
Absolutely.
I plan it because we have to keep it going. And it's been 6 years, so it wasn't the 10, 10, 10 on my second go rounds.
That's good. No, so couple thoughts real quick, and
Yes.
so one of the things I always for second marriages, I'll say
Hmm.
this, I just be super careful at what stage of the divorce process
Mm.
you're in, okay?
Yes.
That there needs to be some time. There needs to be some time
Hmm.
because a lot of what happens in the second marriage is, battling with my ex. We're battling through custody. We're battling through this, and all of a sudden, our relationship turns into this advocacy kind of deal. So, do you love each other? Yeah, but really mad at the way his or her ex has treated him, and I've gotta help him get through this, I gotta help her get through this. I gotta be there for these kids, and these kids need a dad, these kids need a mom, and like, hold on. None of that has anything to do with your relationship.
No.
None of it, okay? Yes, you could have had the worst divorce, and everybody's married to the devil. Like, oh my gosh, I've never heard anybody divorce a good person before. They're all terrible. And, so at some point through the divorce process, if it takes you, I always tell people, if it takes you this long to tell your divorce story, you're not ready.
Yeah.
Okay. If it takes you this long to tell your story, you're ready.
Yeah.
Hey, how long were you married? I was married for 17 years. How long you been divorced? Well, we got divorced 10 years ago. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
And there's nothing else. I was like,
I
well, his
know.
lawyer and then the thing, and we went to
Exactly.
court and and because that's an exciting story. But I'll tell you one thing, you will lose your friends if you say, hey man, why don't you come over tonight and I'm gonna tell you my whole divorce story. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that.
Or the
You
divorce
know,
parties, the
oh
divorce
geez.
parties.
And there's a whole industry out there for that. Go eat the black cake with the black candle and
Are you
like, oh,
serious?
I've seen it. Oh, I've seen it. Oh man.
Oh,
Everybody's got like like weird funeral. It's weird. It's weird. There's a whole section at the party stores
Is it?
There is. It's growing about divorce
Wow.
parties, and it's,
Interesting.
kinda it's, like, weird Halloween-y, it's kinda tombstone-y, it's weird, and then some of like, "Alright, well, maybe this isn't that, maybe it's a new beginning, it's like this weird phoenix thing now," but
Yeah.
regardless, don't don't start dating the girl you met at the divorce party, like, you just can't you can't do that. You gotta wait a little bit, but if I'm super involved in that process, you know, we gotta get the custody thing, we gotta work on all that stuff. They're not
Mhm.
ready. Now, they may need you, and that's what's confusing. That is very confusing.
Mhm.
Well, she needs me. He needs me.
Mm.
I mean, he's not gonna be able to do that, and that may be very true. That may be very true, but you're gonna realize, what did you get together for? Because eventually these
Yeah.
kids, they all leave, they all grow up, they all
Exactly.
graduate, and you have to make sure, "Hey, did I" some people enjoy the fray.
Mhm.
Which is weird. I enjoy the fray. I enjoy that's why we watch the shows that we watch,
Yeah.
okay? I love Law& and Order, weirdly. I
Mhm.
watched that show for 25 years. I watched that show all the time. And I would watch them again because I forgot how they ended, and so I would like, "Oh my gosh," I'd watch them over and over and over again. But if you just love that thing, you just love that drama piece, you're not ready, you're not ready. I always say, give it y time is your friend.
Yeah.
Time is your friend. And the
Mhm.
culture, "No, you gotta hurry up. You gotta get back out there. You
No.
gotta get on the market. You gotta figure this." No, time is your friend. Time is your
Yes.
friend. If you break up with someone today, okay, you
Mhm.
take your phone out, and I want you to put 1 year from today, okay?
Mhm.
So 1 year from today, you could just put a little message that says, "It's okay to date."
Yeah.
You'll be shocked at how fast that is.
It's
You're like,
so
"Oh my gosh,
fast.
that's really wow."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Hey, I've done all this stuff for myself. I've done some of the
Yeah.
travel that I haven't done, and it is okay. You can figure out how to eat by yourself.
Yes.
You can figure out how to go places by yourself."
Yes.
The dating thing, I always do a thing with the dating, and you have to do this. The pushback I usually gets from the remarried couples because they don't have time or they don't have money. I have 4 rules. I have 4 rules for engaged couples. The first rule is very simple. You gotta date once a week,
Mhm.
and that can be date night, date day, date morning, whatever, weekend, whatever, it doesn't matter. You gotta go on a date. Second rule is when you're engaged, you can't talk about the wedding. Okay? Cannot talk about the wedding.
Yes.
Okay? The
Yes.
6 days to talk about the wedding, 1 night, you cannot talk about it. And you're shocked at how hard that is. Once you're married, you gotta pick that topic to be the whatever it is, right? We're not
Mhm.
gonna talk about the kids, or we're not gonna talk about work, or whatever your thing is, that you find whatever your sand trap is, you just don't talk
Mhm.
about that. Because for engaged couples, if all you do is talk about this event, when that event happens,
Yes. What
there's
else is
there's a gap. You don't know what to
Mhm.
do. The third rule, it sounds like you guys are doing this. We alternate date night.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm in charge this week. My wife's in charge next week. Some of that is just because I am a guy. And we only have like 3 good dates, and we've used them by now. And we think we could just recycle these things to keep like,
Yeah.
this worked back in college. I could just I'll take you to the laundromat. Like, no, that doesn't work 6 years in. So, but you gotta alternate. And that means, hey, I've got 2 weeks to figure out something that you're gonna enjoy.
Mhm.
My joke is always like, "Hey, we're not gonna do something weird like skydiving or nothing dangerous." And I always say, and Target's not a date. Target's
No.
not a date, and that applies to some out there. But the last rule is you have to ask the question. The question is, "Will you go out with me?" You have to
Oh.
ask this question. And what I know is that there's power in the question. We love
Mhm.
asking that question. We love being asked that question. But if you've been together for any amount of time, you stop asking it. You
Yeah.
move into a very comfortable place called assume, and assume's fine because you've worked very hard on assume. You've worked very
Yeah.
hard to get to assume. If I'm going out on Friday, I assume you're going with me. So that's a great assumption. That is a fabulous assumption. But assume also means I do not have to woo you anymore. I don't have to pursue you anymore.
Yes.
Like, I still have to come after this girl. I still have to come after her. I still have
Yeah.
to notice things. I still have to do, and I kinda make fun, like, "Listen, dude, if you had to go talk to this girl
Mhm.
at the bar, like, what would you say to her? Like, you still have to talk to her." And so you still have to be in that mode. And so the question, it's in
Mhm.
every it's in every romantic story, every romantic movie. It all centers around this question. And you start with that. You start with that, "Hey, will you go get coffee with me? Can I take you to dinner? If you're a Bridgerton fan,
Yeah.
may I court you? May I see you in the drawing room?" or whatever they're doing. But there's a question. And without that question, there's really nothing there. So there has to be some kind of, "Hey, will you do this with me?" But the second part of it goes back to the idea of purpose. You have to have purpose. So
Exactly.
you want to see this couple, you kinda know they're gonna get together. Like, all
Mhm.
right, we already know. We kinda know these
Mhm.
2 people. You see her life and his life, and they're gonna kinda get together, and we kind of figure that out. That's not a big mystery. We wait for that moment where the question takes place, but then what is the problem that needs to be solved that this couple being together now
Mhm.
makes it possible to solve?
Mhm.
And it's all whatever it is, even the dumbest rom-com, even the most terrible Hallmark movie, there's still a problem. There's still a
Yeah.
problem. And we gotta find the map. We gotta get the key. We gotta take care of your ex who's coming after you or whatever. My mom is has an illness, or we have to save the Christmas tree farm, or whatever it is. But there's a problem that you both can solve, that being together you can solve, that you couldn't do it before. You could not
Yeah.
figure this out before. And so every good romantic story has this. There's
Mhm.
something there that I
Mhm.
need you. I need you. There's
Mhm.
a problem that we can solve together. Not I need you because
Mhm.
I'm dependent on you, or not because I'm not, not a weird codependent thing, but
Yeah.
together, this is the story. And so we look at this, and if it gets cut off too early, we get frustrated. Just the happily ever after is usually not enough. That's not enough.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
"Hey, what did you guys do together? Together, we did this thing. Together, we started this thing. Together, we
Mhm.
took over this thing. Together, we work on there's something we work on together." So I always tell couple, like, have something. Even if you work in 2 different fields, have something that you
Thank
do
you.
together, okay? If you both volunteer at a homeless shelter, there's one thing I know is not gonna happen. You're never gonna argue
Mhm.
while you're feeding food to homeless people. You're never gonna
Well, you
argue
may I don't know.
spooning out the mashed potatoes to people who you'd have no desire to have their life situation, and you're just so glad they came and you're helping them. You're not gonna sit there and go, "Ugh, I wish you saw me for who I was, and I wish I said this and you thought I said this." Like, no, no. If you both putting shingles on a habitat house,
Yeah.
you there's no room
Exa
for that. You may not like the way I'm putting the shingles on the habitat house, and that's another issue. Okay, but you have to have something that you're working on together. It takes
Yeah.
you out of, if it's just the 2 of you just looking at each other and these are all of our problems. No, there's a problem that's way bigger than you. There's something
Mhm.
way bigger than the both of you that you 2 can work on. You
Yeah.
2 can solve it, but it's bigger than you.
Yeah.
Um, if we don't adopt these families at Christmas, these kids won't get presents,
No.
okay? Well, I just kind of feel no. It's very simple. Go take the little tag off the tree. You both need to work on this. And you're not going to have an argument going to the store buying gifts for these kids that
Yeah.
they're not gonna have a Christmas if you don't give them stuff. And that's beautiful. That is a beautiful thing. And that it gets you out of it. And so obviously in church world, I mean, that's a very, you know, I always tell you, like, going to church isn't the answer. That's hard.
Yeah,
Okay. If I
no.
go and you
Yeah.
don't go, it's hard to get you to come. And,
Yeah.
you have to do like I need you both to help me. I need you both to volunteer in the kids area. I need you both
Yeah.
to help with the youth group. I need you, but you know what we need? I need both of you to help take this group of kids to the mission trip where they're going to hang
Yeah.
shingles or serve food to those that need. I need you both to help me with this. And I didn't propose to you with that, like, hey, you know what? You're so beautiful, and I cannot wait to, open up these big cans of green beans and serve like, no, that's not in anybody's proposal story. But if you're doing that stuff, that's awesome. That's awesome. And
Yeah,
you don't have to be in the
yeah.
same industry. You don't have to do any stuff. It just makes you excited. I will see these couples who, like, every year they go on a mission trip. Every year they go, "We're gonna go dig wells. We're going to dig wells in some country that we don't even know how to pronounce, but we're gonna dig wells, and we're gonna put in a water thing. We're gonna adopt compassion children. We're gonna do something, we are going to work with the local YMCA. We're gonna foster a child." All those
Mhm,
things, there's something that you being together, you can't do
mhm,
that by yourself, but together, now, "Hey, this is our thing. This is our thing." And
mhm.
you'd be amazed at what comes out of that. What comes out of that could be all kinds of cool stuff. Like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do when we retire. We're not just gonna go and just, shrivel up. We're gonna go do something with purpose," and
Yeah.
it helps you get there. So,
I appreciate that, David. Thank you. Thank you. So, how can we? I'm going to have it in the show notes, but how can we work with you if we are getting engaged, if we want some more marital counseling, if we're already married and we may just need some extra support? Do you just
absolutely.
work
So
with,
uh,
yes.
if you want me to do your wedding, you gotta live in Ohio. Unless you're going to a tropical place, and I am way open to any island that I can't pronounce. You're more than welcome to have me come with you to that. But for those, I work with couples literally around the world. We have 5 ministers on staff, and so we do we do premarital counseling even if we're not doing your wedding.
Okay.
We're more than happy to do that. We learned this during COVID. Like, it's this crazy thing. You can do this thing. You can Zoom, and you can talk to people anywhere. I had a couple that I worked with that they were in the Philippines, and I would wake up some mornings like 6 o'clock because we had a 6:30 appointment, and we just had my coffee next to me, and we just talked. Uh,
Oh,
so yeah, wherever you're at, if you need to do premarital, and you need to do premarital, it's not even if,
yeah.
it's you need to do this. If you're not doing this with your minister or your officiant, you need to go do this. So
Mhm.
obviously, if you're doing a church wedding and they're offering it, take advantage of it.
Mhm.
For the ones that are like, well, we're just getting a minute, like an officiant,
Yeah.
and they're just going to show up at the wedding. First of all, I don't like to speak ill. I just think, like,
Yeah.
you need premarital counseling.
Yes.
If that guy's just showing up at your wedding, I'm sure he's going to do a fine job. She's going to do a fine job. You need to have conversations beforehand. So you need to do
Mhm.
this. But no, and we also do marriage counseling with anybody, and that's fun. Again, it's over Zoom, over a phone call. Any of that stuff, you can find me. My website is weddingchaplain.com, and you'll have that in the notes, I'm sure. But that's the easiest place. You can find my podcast. You can find I've got 2 books coming out this year. Once they're out, they'll be up there. Yeah, my blog's there. All of that. But obviously, if you need help in any way, it'll either be me or one of the folks on my staff. Will be more than happy to work with you. And we know, yeah, geography is not it's not an issue. So if you want me to do your wedding, then you're gonna have to get me there, and you may not. That's an expense you don't need. But, um, but obviously premarital counseling, if you need that, we make ourselves available to anybody anywhere.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you for blessing us with your wisdom, your experience, and just some great information and suggestions that we can take on into our relationships. And I want everyone to know that the second time around is not a sequel, it's an
Mm,
evolution. You don't love smarter because you're older. You love
right.
smarter because you're aware.
Yes.
And the awareness is power. And again, thank you again, David, for joining the power session. Today's conversation resonated with anyone out there. Share it with someone who is learning to love again, but this time with wisdom. So until next time, I will see you all next week. Bye.
Thank you.